Today, I wanted to share some of the advice that I feel has helped me the most over my Pokemon Go adventure, including lots of stuff that I wish I knew from the very beginning. This won't really be a tutorial for every step of how to play the game, but I will be sharing information on optimal capturing, evolution, battling, and leveling up.
Number 10.
A lot of people have asked me with help understanding the capturing system, so here's what I've got. The green ring around a Pokemon shrinks over time. In theory, you want to throw your Pokeball into the ring when it's as small as possible, but in practice this is a lot harder than it sounds. Depending on the size of the ring, you can hit 3 different throw bonuses. Nice, which awards you with 10 XP, Great, which gives 50, and Excellent, which gives 100. I usually just try and aim for Nice or Great. Even lining up any bonus at all can be a challenge. It doesn't always hit the way that it looks like it's hitting. If the Pokemon performs an attack, your ball will be deflected no matter what, so sometimes the safest throw is to let it go immediately after an attack animation finishes. One tip I really recommend here is turning the AR switch in the top right to off. While the AR mode is great for pictures, the Pokemon you're aiming for move all over the place when it's activated. When it's off, they stand in a stationary spot, making it a lot easier to aim. You can also spin a Pokeball in front of you until it glows to throw a curveball with an arc to the left or right, along with the small XP bonus if done correctly. Keep in mind to throw the ball in the opposite direction that you're about to curve for it to land center eventually, similar to the Wii bowling throws that you would do to try and get a strike. This can also help you get a little more distance on your throws to hit Pokemon that appear farther away.
Number 9.
Hold on to your Stardust at the beginning of the game. There are only 3 ways to obtain it, and they're all in pretty small quantities. By capturing Pokemon, hatching eggs, and redeeming the Daily Defender bonus at the top right of the shop for each Pokemon that you have still remaining in a gym. It's very tempting to select Power Up on early Pokemon, especially the starter that you get at the beginning of the game, but I heavily advise against it, especially because of this next tip.
Number 8.
As you gain experience and level up, the CP of Pokemon that you find in the wild increase as well. This doesn't just give you Pokemon with higher CP values, it gives you Pokemon with higher potential CP as well. Take a look at these 2 Poliwhirl that I own. The one on the left was caught in one of my first days playing, and the one on the right I just grabbed recently. Both Pokemon appear to have around the same point on their experience bar, but the difference in CP is really noticeable, and it'll become even larger when this Pokemon evolves again. In general, if you want to evolve your Pokemon to have more CP in the long run, evolve your newest Pokemon of that type. Even if a Pokemon has a lower CP value, if it was caught more recently, it will very likely have a higher CP potential. Remember Karen's famous saying? Strong Pokemon, weak Pokemon. That is only selfish perception of people. Truly skilled trainers should try and win with their favorites. Karen never played Pokemon Go. It's a depressing game, where the starter Pokemon that you pick up at the very beginning has some of the lowest potential of any Pokemon you'll own. Here's my starting Squirtle, and here's a Bulbasaur I just picked up off the streets. Poor guy didn't stand a chance.
Number 7.
Here's a side tip building off of the last one, but if you want to evolve from a basic Pokemon up to that 3rd stage, and you want that Pokemon to be competitive, you should wait until you have enough candy for both evolutions back to back. I know that sounds ridiculous, and that is a lot of candy, but here's the problem. If you evolve a Pokemon to its 2nd stage, you'll probably need a lot more candy to get enough to reach the 3rd. And by the time you've caught Pokemon to achieve that much candy, your level will be way higher as a trainer, and chances are that you've started finding new Pokemon that have much higher CP potential than the one that you were working on in the first place. It puts you in a spot where if you evolve that Pokemon, it won't have as great of a CP total as your newest Pokemon will. Also, if you're having difficulty collecting candy, don't forget that returning a Pokemon to the professor gives you 1 additional candy of that Pokemon's type. Goodbye, Pikachu! Sorry bro, really needed the candy! Let's move on to some gym battle tips.
Number 6.
I'm still trying to learn the best options for this, and it's very possible that battling could become its own detailed video, but here's what I've got so far. Faster attacks are much better in gym battling because they build your secondary attacks much faster and seem to deal a much higher damage per second. Fast attacks are typically, but not always, the attacks with a lower damage number. I was so confused when I noticed that my highest CP Pokemon Muk typically performed worse than some of my lower CP Pokemon. But you can just tell by watching my battles how much more damage Pokemon like Golbat deal with a fast attack. In a perfect world, you have a Pokemon with a fast first attack and a high damage secondary charge attack. While there is a lot more research to do on this topic as players are digging through the game's data, here's a list of some very vast attacks that users from the Sylph Road on Reddit were able to compile. On the flip side, stronger, slower attacks should be used when dropping Pokemon off to defend a gym, because the AI will automatically attack with them at a fixed rate. So even if a Pokemon isn't the best choice to lead for your gym attacks, it can still be useful for holding the fort down once you're dropping defenders in.
Number 5.
One of the most frustrating systems in Pokemon Go is the battle dodging. When the heck do you need to move out of the way? From what I've gathered, the screen blurs yellow for a split second during gym battles. It's hard to see, but I'll slow the footage down, and you can see it best at the bottom of the screen, right there. There is when to dodge. The biggest trick here is that the blur doesn't always match the animations that you see, which is why you can be confused when trying to dodge and it isn't working. For some Pokemon like this Vaporeon, the yellow flashes way before the water even gets to you, giving you a huge window to attack successfully if you move out of the way first. It definitely takes some time to get used to, but when done correctly, you can take down Pokemon of a way higher CP than you by clearing out rival gyms or powering up your own.
Number 4.
And finally on gym battles, more than one Pokemon can attack a gym at the same time. Gang up on a gym with multiple attackers from the same team for a huge advantage, even with lower CP Pokemon. Just make sure that your significant other doesn't betray you by choosing the wrong team, because that would be a tragedy.
Number 3.
A lot of players mention to me that they have a hard time stocking up on Pokeballs when they barely have any Pokespots nearby to replenish. But one thing a lot of people don't know is that Pokespots refresh every 5 or so minutes. So if you live where there are only a few spots but you want some more items, set up a picnic or a hangout with some friends to stock up at a single spot. I won't lie and say that this is as good as being in an area with a ton of spots already, but it's at least a workable solution to pile up on items.
Number 2.
Moving on to egg hatching, use the infinite incubator on the lowest step count eggs. This allows you to maximize usage of your unbreakable incubator while saving the larger 5k and 10k step eggs for your breakable incubators if you choose to purchase them. Larger step count eggs give rarer Pokemon, but in general, all eggs give you a lot of candy compared to simply capturing. If you do decide to throw a few dollars in incubators to hatch multiple eggs at a time, the least you can do is make sure that those purchases are used for as many steps as possible, while the perfect red incubator plows through those 2k eggs.
Number 1.
And finally, arguably the best tip that I've seen so far is to save your evolutions and evolve as many times as possible in a small window of time using a single lucky egg. Evolving normally gives you 500 experience, so turning this into 1000 on a single lucky egg for every evolution is huge. If you abuse a single lucky egg by having a mass evolution party, you can earn multiple experience levels at once in a giant experience wave. The easiest way to hoard Pokemon for mass evolution parties comes with a surprising source: Pidgey, Caterpie, and Weedle. These normally pathetic Pokemon evolve faster than any other, needing just 12 candy to reach that second stage of evolution. While I recommend waiting to evolve as many Pokemon as possible all at once, these 3 are going to be by far the easiest way to do it. Once you have around 20 to 60 Pokemon ready to evolve, pop a single lucky egg and make as many evolutions as you can as fast as you can. While I didn't have a full batch ready for this video's footage, I evolved around 20 Pokemon during this example video, giving me enough experience to jump directly from level 17 to 18. If I was smarter and saved some easy evolutions for lucky eggs from the very beginning, I would probably be at a way higher level today. Lucky eggs are pretty rare if you don't buy them, so using the ones that you do own to their best potential is a great strategy to get more experience, which gets you more levels, which gets you more items, and also gets you the chance to run into stronger and stronger Pokemon.
Potion or whatever. No. We have this. We need one more hit. No. Voltorb. Voltorb, buddy. Yo, we just got absolutely wrecked.